Hi, welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the January 26, 2021 meeting of the Santa Barbara City Council. We'll call ourselves to order and start with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Councilmember Alejandro Gutierrez.
Here.
Councilmember Harmon.
Here.
Councilmember Snedden.
Here.
Councilmember Friedman.
Here.
Councilmember Jordan.
Here.
Councilmember Oscar Gutierrez.
Present.
And Mayor Murillo.
Here. Thanks, Ms. Gorman. Mr. Casey, we have some changes to the agenda, correct?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have two changes to the agenda. Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members. The first is item 3 on the consent calendar. The subject is appointment of plan administrator for deferred compensation administration. We got a late letter last night, and we want to have the opportunity to discuss that with the SEIU and their leadership team. And so we'll just bring that back at a later date after we've had an opportunity to do so. And then we also are going to move the appeal. That is item number 15. The subject is appeal of the Planning Commission's approval of a coastal development permit for bicycle share stations in the coastal zone. We're going to continue that appeal to 1 week to next week, February 2nd at the 2 p.m. council meeting. And so we would, I believe, probably would want a motion to continue that appeal to next week. So it's formally continued.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. I'll second it. And we'll take a roll call vote to continue item 15, please.
This is a motion to continue the appeal, item 15, to the February 2nd meeting. Motion by Councilmember Jordan, seconded by Mayor Murillo. Councilmember Alejandro Gutierrez.
Yes.
Councilmember Harmon.
Yes.
Councilmember Snedden.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Oscar Gutierrez.
Aye.
And Mayor Murillo.
Aye. Okay, good. Make that change. Thank you very much. We'll move on.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Excuse me, as your parliamentarian, I want to advise that at 2 p.m. we announce the council's action again. The appeal was noticed for 2 p.m. and we'll want to make sure that the action is registered during that hearing. Thank you.
We will do that. Thank you for your advice. We'll move on to open public comment. This is for items that are not on the agenda. Everyone has 3 minutes. And we generally try to do 30 minutes of it. So thanks for coming onto the screen, my colleagues. And Ms. Clerk, are there people raising their hands? I guess I should ask that first.
Madam Mayor. Okay, we do have a number of hands raised. We have Daryl Sheck, Emily Mosher, and Ethan Elisara to start with.
Thank you.
Daryl Sheck, we will unmute you in a second. There we go. Okay. Mr. Sheck, please go ahead.
Dear Mayor Murillo and Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Daryl Sheck, representative for SEIU Local 620, representing many of your employees here at the city. We recognize that the city has put significant time, and it wasn't clear to me whether 3 was actually withdrawn or not from the agenda, but the city's put time and resources towards improving the management and administration of the city's 457B deferred comp plan. There's no doubt there will be improvements in plan consolidation, which will result in cost savings to all city employees. The reason why we didn't like this particular item was that it only allows 3 people to serve as coordinators of the plan, and that these people will likely be chosen solely from the ranks of management. Meanwhile, the funds being managed generally started as funds being deducted from participating employees' paychecks, including many of our members. This plan includes our members' money. We have approached the city over the course of many meetings to request that this committee include representation from different employee groups for the sake of transparency and ensuring that the viewpoints of all city employees are being heard. The city has not chosen to do this, despite the requests at the benefits committee meetings, and despite a recent incident when no notification was given about a fund choice being eliminated for employees. Our members' contributions to this plan now more than ever provide support towards our members' retirement. With less generous retirement plans available to our members, this 457B plan may be the last lifeline for those on fixed income pensions that have been diminished since January 1st of 2013 when Pepper came in. We request this item be modified to provide a clear path for employee organizations to be represented in oversight of this plan. And if that can't be done, we believe it should be pulled from the consent calendar, which I did believe, I heard that it was pulled from the consent calendar until such time as a plan for how employee organizations will be represented with regards to oversight of this plan is created. With regards to financial education, I hear this a lot, that that the city has expertise in, limiting it to 3 people. There's people with expertise in managing these plans. Let me just remind you that there are a wide variety of employee pension plans out there that use rank and file blue collar employees on their boards, that have them elected to their boards, that receive financial education over a long period of time. I think that's a canard that needs to be displaced. There are plenty of people within the ranks of employee organizations that have the capability currently and definitely the ability to take part in these types of discussions. And we appreciate your attention to this matter. And thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Yes, we did pull that from the consent calendar, and I look forward to having a meeting with you about it, Mr. Scheck. Thanks. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Emily Mosher, then Ethan Elisara, Lauren Peterson, Payton Nichols, and Sharon Nielsen. Emily Mosher, please go ahead.
Public. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the public, my name is Emily Mosher and I'm a 4th-year religious studies major at Westmont College. I'm a part of the Westmont Downtown program, and we're engaging with ways that we can be more intentional members of the Santa Barbara community. And the current State Street Promenade has fostered a lot of community engagement. As a young person, I just want to say I'm still trying to get to know the city and its people, and this setup really allows me to do that and create some more communal environment. I've really enjoyed getting to engage with Santa Barbara in this way. Thank you for your time and efforts for the betterment of Santa Barbara.
Thank you, Ms. Mosher. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Ethan Elisara, Lauren Peterson, Payton Nichols, and Sharon Nielsen. Ethan Elisara, please go ahead. Ethan Elisara, you can unmute yourself and go ahead.
I see. All right. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public, my name is Ethan Alsar. I'm a 3rd-year Westmont Downtown student studying economics and business. This semester, I'm in the Westmont Downtown program, learning what it means to be a faithfully engaged citizen of Santa Barbara. And I'm here to voice my concerns about making State Street into a promenade. I'm very interested in city planning and the implications that good planning has for the community and the environment. Recently, I started studying the revitalization of Fresno's inner city, and I think it's a brilliant case study for the State Street Promenade. State Street is very comparable to Fresno's Fulton Mall. They're both a single street in the heart of the city and a hub for community gatherings and local commerce. The Fulton Mall was designed by a renowned landscape architect at the time and was closed to all vehicle traffic. It is beautifully designed and displayed numerous internationally renowned pieces of art, but pedestrian traffic continued to decrease after its creation. Instead of spurring revitalization, it was instead the nail in the coffin of Fresno CBD. This situation, however, was not unique to Fresno. According to Stefano Polizzotis, one of the founders of New Urbanism and the dean of the Notre Dame School of Architecture, there are 350 plus promenades created between 1950 and 1975, and over 90% of them failed and were eventually released into mixed use and mixed mode streets. He's emphatic. The lack of vehicular access killed these downtowns. Evidence shows that promenades only work when there's a very high density or largely populated institution on its border, such as a university. State Street lacks both of these prerequisites. While closing State Street might be the correct move temporarily due to the unusual circumstances of the pandemic, I'm unsure about the long-term efficacy of shutting down State Street to vehicular traffic. I'm Polynesian, and in Pacifica wisdom, we talk about walking backwards into the future, recalling our collective memory and history, and applying it responsibly in a given context is what shapes our future. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, I urge you to look not only at the historic failures of pedestrian malls in American cities as you consider closing down State Street, but also the full corpus of solutions which are often interrelated and must come as a package to deal for a comprehensive solution and plan. I urge you to get in contact with the City of Fresno's Planning Department and discuss their reasoning behind reopening the Fulton Mall to vehicular traffic and the positive impact it has had on the city's downtown revitalization. I believe that understanding the situations that historically make promenades succeed or fail is the key to understanding what is best for our beloved State Street moving forward. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me and for your sincere effort in the betterment of the city of Santa Barbara.
Thanks. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Lauren Peterson, and after Lauren Peterson, Payton Nichols and Sharon Nielsen. Lauren Peterson, please go ahead.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the public. My name is Lauren Peterson, and I'm a fourth-year Communication Studies major from Westmont College. This semester, I'm getting to participate in the Westmont Downtown program, and I'm excited to learn more about what it looks like to engage well with my neighbors here in the city. I'm coming to you as a resident of the downtown area. I live right between Laguna and Olive Street and regularly park my car along Olive Street. I've noticed that there is a heavy flow of traffic on Olive Street, and the street is already pretty narrow. When I'm driving along there or looking for parking, it's difficult to pass oncoming traffic or have space to get into my car as cars are passing by. I believe that making this street into a one-way street could be safer for drivers and those getting into their parked cars. Thank you for your time and consideration and the work that you do to improve our community.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Lauren Peterson, then Payton Nichols, Sharon Nielsen, and Amber Nosey. Lauren Peterson, please go ahead.
I just went.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, correct. Payton Nichols. Payton Nichols, please go ahead.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public, my name is Payton Nichols, and I am a fourth-year Communication Studies major at Westmont College. This semester, I've had the privilege to participate in an intensive social entrepreneurship and community engagement program that prepares college students to explore a range of methods to resolve pressing social problems. This semester, I've been able to connect with a member of the One Community Bridge Project. This is a local organization that serves to improve the social well-being, resilience, and civic engagement for youth and families. I want to call this organization to the public's attention today because of its dedicated focus to improving the cultural ecology of our neighborhoods. It focuses on a variety of aspects, including climate, youth mentoring, education, and nutrition. After speaking to some community members, I have heard a plea to revive the cultural arts within Santa Barbara, as it is a vital component to understanding the historical context of our beloved city. My desire is that we seek to better understand, engage, and celebrate the rich community that makes up our beautiful Santa Barbara. So please take the time to engage in their resources and learn more about this project at onecommunitysb.org. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. And again, I very much appreciate your efforts towards the betterment of Santa Barbara. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Next speaker.
Very good. We have two more speakers for public comment. Sharon Nielsen and then Amber Nosey. Sharon Nielsen, please go ahead. Sharon Nielsen, you can unmute yourself on your end and go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members all. I just wanted to actually take a moment to clarify and ask you if I had a comment, specific to Flamingo Mobile Home Park. I didn't know if we were to do that now or if we'll have an opportunity to speak when number 13 comes up, because I'm aware it's not specific to us.
Yeah, you will have an opportunity when that comes back. So
Okay.
Thank you. I
Then
thought I recognized your name. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. And this will be our final speaker. Thanks.
Very good. Our final speaker is Amber Nosey. Amber Nosey, please go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public. My name is Amber Nosey, and I am a senior at Westmont College studying business and sociology. This semester, myself and other students are participating in Westmont Downtown, which is an off-campus program focusing on social entrepreneurship, community engagement, learning outside the classroom. I would like to address the council on behalf of individuals in our Santa Barbara community who use public transportation, such as city buses. As we all have seen, the coronavirus has hurt so many in our community, and those who are essential workers and their families have been disproportionately affected by the virus. For those without the privilege of having a car to drive around the city, individuals using public transportation can possibly be at greater risk of infectious disease given the many common surfaces of city buses. I would like to propose that the council consider installing hand sanitizer dispensers either within city buses or at city bus stops to help prevent the spread of illness. While this action in the short term is just one of many existing measures the city has already enacted to protect our community from coronavirus, I also think there are plenty of long-term implications that this action could have in preventing the spread of common cold and flu sickness, even after coronavirus subsides. I would like to suggest to the council to consider looking at this proposal to keep individuals who have no other means of transportation safe. I would also like to thank the council for the numerous actions taken for the betterment of Santa Barbara and keeping our community well. Your work is very much appreciated. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Clerk, we'll close public comment unless you're seeing another hand. No, okay.
No further hands.
And thanks to the Westmont College students for calling in. We really appreciate your thoughtful remarks. Consent calendar. You have items to read, Ms. Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Item 1, introduction of ordinance for sale of excess recycled water to La Cumbra Mutual Water Company. Recommendation the council introduce and subsequently adopt by reading of title only. An ordinance of the Council of the City of Santa Barbara approving an agreement for the long-term wholesale supply of recycled water to the La Cumbra Mutual Water Company. Item 2, resolution of findings denying tree removal at 2934 Lomita Road. Recommendation that council review and adopt by reading of title only. A resolution of the Council of the City of Santa Barbara upholding an appeal of the Parks and Recreation Commission's approval of removal of the deodar cedar located in the front yard setback at 2934 Lomita Road. Not reading item 3, it is not being heard by council today. Item 4, Downtown Organization Annual Assessment Report for 2021 and intention to levy. Recommendation that council A, approve the Downtown and Old Town Business Improvement District Annual Assessment Report for 2021, and B, adopt by reading of title only a resolution of the Council of the City of Santa Barbara declaring council's intention to levy Downtown Business Improvement District and Old Town Business Improvement District assessment rates for 2021 at a public hearing to be held on March 2nd, 2021 at 2 p.m. And that's all the items to read.
Very good. Ms. Sneddon, did you want to pull an item for discussion or question?
Yes, I had a question on number 7, just briefly.
I know we have a public commenter for item 2, so let's take them in numerical order. So we'll pull 7. Council members, any other item that you want to pull from consent? I don't see any more. So Ms. Clerk, I know there's People who want to talk on item 2, which is the tree at 2934 Lomita Road, and then to the members of the public who have other consent calendar items, we'll ask for that after we hear from this member of the public on item 2. Are they there, Ms. Gorman?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have Eric Vobol available to speak and no other hands raised.
Mr. Vobol, please go ahead.
Mr. Vobol, please go ahead. You are unmuted. Madam Mayor, I also see that Marilyn Goldman has raised her hand to speak on this item, so let's go to her and we can go back to Mr. Vobol. Marilyn Goldman, please go ahead. Marilyn Goldman, you can unmute yourself and go ahead. There you go.
Okay, thank you. At the December 8th City Council meeting, Ms. Harmon and Ms. Sneddon, after hearing my presentation, the first thing either of you could comment on was that you felt uncomfortable weighing in with judgment on the nature of this case. You felt uncomfortable. Before you, a council of able-bodied people proceeded to vote to uphold the city committee members' unethical appeal that directly impacts my actual physical discomfort. The December 8th meeting did not focus on safety and accessibility issues that I face daily at my home. It is concerning that more focus was placed on the legalities of parking in my driveway than on my needs as a community member with a degenerative diagnosis. The finding that the safety of persons dictates the removal of the tree was there should you have chosen to see it. The fact that safety would be limited to concerns about a tree falling or being a fire hazard and not include concern for a homeowner's accessibility is ableist and disturbing. It is wrong. Following the hearing, I've heard from a number of community members with similar experiences of Bob Cunningham and the Street Tree Committee. I've learned that there is a history of council fines that alienate and minimize the needs of community members. Madam Mayor, I now understand why you said in our phone conversation that applying for a tree removal permit was the right thing to do, but many people don't. This process clearly does not exist to serve members of the community, particularly if provisions for accessibility and safety aren't a part of it. Mr. Friedman, as my council representative, you declined to meet with me prior to council site's visit and did not introduce yourself to me there. Following the hearing, you provided Marburg with my contact information without ever asking for my consent. It is inappropriate to give out that information or make a request without asking me first, particularly when you never once before acted as my representative. Ms. Sneddon, I was baffled that you believed it was an appropriate solution to ask me to return to a committee who called this case the ugliest they had ever seen. I would like to thank Mike Jordan for your acknowledgement that the Street Tree Committee's conduct was fundamentally wrong. I would like to thank Alejandro Gutierrez for your transparency and acknowledgement of the pain you continue to witness in community members being denied agency in their own lives. And I would like to thank Oscar Gutierrez for your humanity. You are the only person from start to finish that apologized for how I was treated. Thank you.
Very good. Is Mr. Vobol on the line now to speak?
Mr. Vobol, please go ahead. Mr. Vobol, you are unmuted on our end and you can go ahead. Madam Mayor, I don't hear from him and he hasn't responded to a chat message that I sent to see if he can unmute himself.
Very good. We were happy to hear the testimony that we did. So,
Madam Mayor, I need to clarify something the speaker said. I just want to clarify that I did not contact Marburg. It was brought up by members of the public, including some other members of the public who watched the hearing, that there was a potential path. So I asked cities that somebody emailed me, member of the public, and I asked city staff to follow up as appropriate. I did not contact Marburg. I would never give out someone's personal address for that. And then as to the policy of not meeting, that is my standard policy for appeals. I usually do not meet with either side on an appeal for most cases. So I was acting like I do on almost every appeal on that issue. So I just want to clarify that. And I would never give someone's personal address out to a business. And I just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Mr. Friedman. We should vote on this separately. And let's go ahead and vote on item number 2 right now. We need a motion to move this item forward.
I'll move item 2.
I'll second it.
And a second from Gutierrez, Alejandra Gutierrez, thank you. Let's take a roll call vote, and then we'll get on with the rest of the consent calendar. Thanks.
This is a motion by Councilmember Jordan, seconded by Councilmember Alejandra Gutierrez to approve item 2. Councilmember Harmon.
Yes.
Councilmember Snedden.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Oscar Gutierrez.
Aye.
Councilmember Alejandra Gutierrez.
Yes.
And Mayor Murillo.
Aye. Okay, moving that forward, let's go to item 7. Ms. Clerk, is anyone else raising their hand to make public comment on item 3 through 6, since we're trying to go in order?
Madam Mayor, no.
Okay, so item 7, if you would read that into the record so Ms. Snedden can ask her question. Thanks.
Very good. Item 7 is professional services agreement for parking citation services.
Ms. Snedden, did you have a question or a comment?
It's just a really quick question about, I just want to confirm that there are no loss of jobs associated with this transition. In the staff report, it did talk about different employees of different entities, and I just wanted to confirm that that wouldn't mean any loss of jobs for Santa Barbara.
Ms. Peterson.
Good afternoon, Lori Peterson, Business Manager at the Police Department, and there is no change or shifting of jobs or loss of jobs related to this.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Since you're there, Ms. Snedden, if you would move the rest of the consent calendar.
Move the rest of the consent calendar.
Second, please.
Second.
For Mr. Jordan. Let's take a roll call vote on the remainder of the consent calendar. We already did 2, and then we removed 3. So every item except 2 and 3. Okay.
Very good. This is a motion by Councilmember Snedden, seconded by Councilmember Jordan for the remainder of the consent calendar except for items 2 and 3. Councilmember Snedden.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Oscar Gutierrez.
Aye.
Councilmember Alejandra Gutierrez.
Aye.
Councilmember Harmon.
Yes.
Mayor Murillo.
Aye. Okay, we're done with the consent calendar. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the public for participating. We'll move on to item number 12. Ms. Clerk?
Very good. Item 12, Police Department update.
Chief Luno, are you and your staff ready?
We are, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm sorry. My computer's making some weird, weird flashing lights right now, but I'm good. It wants to download some security information. But good morning. Thank you for having us. I'm excited to give you this update. What you're going to see, basically by the time we get to the end of it, this year, and I don't need to tell you, has been like no other. So this framework for the presentation is different than you've seen in the past, Comparison statistics, for the most part, aren't relevant due to the influences of COVID. However, much of our end of the year reporting is still trickling in. Some analysis is still needed. And we, like a lot of other organizations, have had many people out on quarantine. So that has slowed the process, but it's a pre-warning as we go on that this is not going to be your typical presentation. So this is our 40,000 view look at the state of policing. We're going to touch on some of our community reporting and crime activity, and I think you'll get a very detailed account of what we've been doing this last year by our department updates. Next slide, please. So recent occurrences have increased the speed in which policing has evolved, and nationwide, as you know, there's been a heavy focus on democratic policing and evidence-based practices. While our police department has been engaged in these conversations and practice for some time, that's not the case for a lot of departments. So our department, we've pushed forward and seen a bigger investment in what would be considered democratic, innovative policing efforts. Like some oversight, auditing, embracing procedural justice, and police training. Next slide. As I mentioned, COVID-19 has been something that has really hit the policing world hard. Our deaths, I just had some statistics, nationally for officer deaths is over 200 because of COVID, which far surpassed any inline deaths that we've seen in the past. So that's something that's very real for us in our community, as well as we know, mental health response, opioid response, and the need to keep our officers well. So let's move forward to some of our community reporting and crime activity. Next slide, please. And the next slide from here. Nationwide, law enforcement has experienced a reduction in crime generally, but most cities have seen a spike in violent crime. And as you see by these statistics, our city reflects that trend. For example, our aggravated assaults and even our homicides have increased. We are seeing an impact on our resources day to day as a result of early release from jail due to COVID. And our officers and detectives are often contacting and arresting people who are out on early release. We had a recent incident that was in a press release that occurred on January 16th, for an example, when a person who was on early release for a gun charge robbed a woman at gunpoint in one of our local hotels. So those are the things that concern us. Overall, it's a 6% increase in violent crime compared to our statistics from last year, but overall, we've seen a reduction in property crime by 1% in the Santa Barbara area. So next slide. I've added this to prepare you. The Uniform Crime Reporting, UCR, format of reporting, which I just gave you, is something that's going away, and it retired effective January 1st. And what you're going to see from here on out is a national incident-based reporting system. It's called NIBRS. It's going to be required for all agencies. It's going to eliminate a hierarchy rule, which what used to be recorded was just the highest crime. Now all of them are going to be accounted for. And if we move to the next slide, you will see, just as an example, all these different items are what are going to be tracked. And this level of detail of tracking for all communities will ensure that we have the statistical data for appropriate policy and operational decisions. So this is a pre-warning. Be prepared. Next year, there's going to be some interesting statistics, but it's all going to be very helpful as we continue to use our resources effectively based on our local priorities. So our next slide will show you about our calls for service. And this slide is a little complicated, but what it displays is our priority 1 through priority 4 calls. Each of those categories represents a different type of response, priority response, because we triage calls, as you know. The thing I want to point out is that red arrow. That represents the fact that we've received more priority 1 calls. Those are our emergency calls that get formatted. We've received more, which is consistent with the last statistic as an increase in violent crime. But the positive I want to point out is our response time in even our priority calls and all the other calls for service have decreased. So we're getting there faster. Next slide, please. And this slide represents out of our 45, almost 46,000 calls for service and our proactive contacts. We've had 155 incidents that had a level of force used. That represents 0.34% of all those contacts. And I want to note that every single use of force is required to be reported. A supervisor reviews it, and even a commanding officer, the 2 that you see on the screen, are responsible for reviewing those uses of force. And one of the mandated reporting, one of the things that we have to report by mandate is significant injuries to the state on an annual basis as a result of use of force. And I like to include that statistic. This last year, it was 1 incident, and this number that we produce represents officers as well as our public that may get injured. And we had 1 incident involving a case where somebody resisted arrest and ended up suffering from a broken bone. But that has been reduced. Last year we had 5 that we reported. So moving on to the next slide. This slide represents our gang offenses and arrests. And these are the offenses that were charged under the Penal Code 186.22, which means it meets the legal definition of benefiting a street crime. So in 2020, we had 37 of those offenses as compared to 2019, where we had 38. I'm sorry, I flipped that around. 2020, we had 38 compared to 2019, where we had 37. But what you do see next to that is our arrests increase. We had 61 arrests in 2020 for incidents that met those criteria. Next slide, please. This I wanted to include, this is, I would call it a statewide effort for oversight. And there was an assembly bill back in 2015 that passed that is called, we refer to it as RIPA, the Racial and Identity Profiling Act. And it requires stop data for all law enforcement agencies. And the Department of Justice is the state repository for this information, and they have a system to support that. And because of that move towards this reporting system, they rolled out a phased approach for initiating these guidelines. And because of our agency size, we are slotted to start reporting stop data effective January 2022. And that means every single officer that stops somebody on a traffic stop or a pedestrian stop is required to document a bunch of information. Our internal IT folks have created an app that our officers can obtain that information to make it a little more efficient, and so they are ensuring the capture of it. But I want to point out to you all, as we talk oversight in the months to come, this is a committee that's been put in place by law, and they're looking at the state information on an annual basis. And they produce reports, and they make recommendations at the state level for training and policy for all police departments. Okay, next slide, please. Department updates. And next slide. So I will say for the last 4.5 years, one of my main goals has been organizational transformation. And that is what I define by the alignment of our department resources to support community partnerships and proactive problem solving. And it's frankly the primary component of community policing. So over the last several years, we've intentionally aligned our resources to invest in those partnerships and our civilian efforts. With our civilians, and our efforts have been focused on those bullet points you see on the screen: accountability and transparency, evidence-based practices, community engagement, training and wellness, and capitalizing on some opportunities with technology. Next slide, please. So much of our effort in transforming the organization has been embracing and infusing the philosophies of 21st century policing in our department culture. And I've been talking about it for several years in my council updates, and I'm proud to say we have a strong foundation within the organization that has set us up for the national challenges and the policing challenges of today. We've invested in procedural justice and principle training. We have 2 internal subject matter experts that are statewide trainers that have been trained for the last few years to teach it, not only to our community and I should say our officers, but our policing community as well, outside in local agencies. We have required the task force report for 21st century policing as a part of promotional reading tools. That's something that's been definitely ingrained within our promotional processes at the interview and testing process. And we've opened the doors and invited community members in on our interview panels, from new hire employees as well as all of our promotional interviews. And a poignant example is we recently had a community member sit in on our internal professional standards sergeant interviews. And they had an influence on who's going to be our new internal affairs sergeant. And for those of you that know him, Rashawn Drayton is our sergeant that will be starting as our internal affairs sergeant in the near future. Next slide. So here is our internal staffing. Our authorized sworn number is 142 positions. We currently have 128 of those positions filled. COVID put us behind with one of our academies. We had to cancel one, and as a result of a multitude of issues, we have seen an interest in applicants decrease for our police officer positions. And that is a trend nationally. That fact, combined with the fact that a lot of agencies did some mass hiring in the 90s, and that's resulted in retirements and even some early retirements. Our number of 128 officers is not where we want to be. But in saying that, we hope to get another 6 to 9 for our next academy. I had the pleasure of extending a job offer to one of our local young ladies last week that grew up on the East Side and is a Spanish speaker and is super enthusiastic to get through the academy and get back here and police her community. So it's a number that's always flexed, and we internally have adjusted by prioritizing patrol as our primary function. Everybody knows that's what we do first. So some of our specialty positions are what are not filled at this time, but our patrol staffing, even through COVID, has managed to maintain the number that we feel comfortable with. A fully staffed patrol staff is what we strive for. Also in saying that, we have 68 civilians positions and 63 of those are filled. 3 of those openings happen to be at police dispatch, and it is also another difficult position to hire for. We often have to backfill those openings with officers because it takes at least a year to get those dispatchers independent on their own and trained and comfortable in their positions. So we are managing these challenges along with everything else, and we're doing it at a level that I think offers a lot of pride for this community. So I just made a little note there. We have kept some positions open to manage with some of our, to manage our budget adjustments due to COVID. And it's one of those things, it's this elusive number we're shooting for and people cycle through. And I just want to say, I appreciate my boss, Paul Casey, who's always said he doesn't want us to get behind. And if we get to a point where we can hire those 142 officers, because the cyclical nature of our retirements and hiring, we typically have the salary savings that are going to meet our budget adjustment needs. So we will move on to the next slide, please. I just wanted to include this. These numbers were all provided by Human Resources. It's our demographic information as it exists and as it is reported to HR. And the one number I wanted to point out down there is our bilingual employees with the department. We have 29, and those are the ones that are certified at a level where they get qualified as a certified bilingual speaker. We do have many officers that can get by with different levels of Spanish engagement in our community. But that's how they look. And this is one of those pictures and places and times that changes drastically based on what's going on with our personnel staffing. But these are the numbers as they were about 2 weeks ago. So let's move on to the next slide. We know this is important for our community. So Captain Arroyo put this slide together and I wanted to share it. This represents your hometown officers. And when you look at the officers we currently have, this doesn't reflect where they live now. This is where they grew up. And it really reinforces our efforts and belief that we can hire from our local community. You can see that's about, when you include West Ventura, that blue circle there, that's about 50% of our workforce that actually grew up here. And let's move on to the next slide. And this is something I hear in the hallways a lot. I want to point out there's a lot of high school pride that is expressed, whether it's Dons, Chargers, or Royals. I hear it. The 2 captains on our screen hail from local high schools. It is never ending. So I just want to reassure you this school spirit exists very broadly in our police department. Next slide, please. This I thought was important to include. There's evidence that definitely supports officers with college degrees, amongst other things, use communication skills more effectively, they get fewer complaints, and they're less likely to use force. And by looking at these numbers, I think this is an impressive fact, knowing that we don't require a college degree for officers. We have 60% of our officers that have some level of college degree. And moving on to our next slide. This is a list of our in-service required training this year. We are committed to improving and ongoing skill development. And this is an example of what our year of training, even with COVID, looked like. And this doesn't articulate some of our mandated training for people that have been assigned to new positions, but this is what everybody needed to do as a part of their ongoing education for this last year. And our next slide. Officer wellness and safety. Clearly, we need healthy officers and employees to do the jobs that we do to keep our communities safe. And this is where I had the statistics I was looking for. So in 2020, our nation saw 326 total in-line duty deaths of police officers, compared to 148 in 2019. 208 of those are as a result of COVID. And the one thing I have to brag about is the fact that our department immediately stepped in and put some measures in place. We've been listening to the science and taking the best advice and precautions to keep our employees safe in workforce. And I think we're evidence that if you do the things that are recommended, you can keep people safe. We have over 200 employees. Our COVID positive cases are in single digits. We have, knocking on some wood, not had any outbreaks in the station. And a lot of that has been because of the hard work. We have a strategic operations unit, Lieutenant Kitsapis, Sergeant Corbin, and the others that are there. I'm drawing a blank, but we, like everybody else, have had to fight to get the personal protection equipment needed to keep people safe. Our employees have even, I'm sorry, Sergeant Chris Payne is the other one that's over there. Miller, Sergeant Miller, I apologize. But our employees even drove to Fresno to get their own alcohol substance to make into disinfectant. They had to get it from a distillery. We provided it, made it available to other city departments, but it's made a difference. We've had to quarantine people because of exposures, but people have been staying well and getting back to work, which has meant that we keep our staffing up. We're here to serve our community. We're not exposing the community to anything, and we're definitely not taking it home. So it's something that it sounds like I'm bragging about it because I am. I know it's been a challenge and not a lot of other places can say they have the same results, but we've been taking it seriously, and we've been seeing great response to vaccinations and the desire to have them. And we're doing what we can to stay safe. And one of the other items on this slide that I want to mention is our Narcan that we rolled out. We started a program about 2 years ago, or the last year and a half, because of the opioid crisis and our officers' response times and ability to make a difference on calls. So we purchased Narcan for our officers, and in this last year of 2020, we have had 13 saves as a result for having the Narcan in our officers' hands and being there quickly to help save a life in our community. Next slide, please. So we are doing our best to leverage technology to, again, assist in our efforts to be transparent and accountable, and therefore legitimate in what we do. This is a new personnel tracking management system. It's called Guardian Tracker that rolls out next week for our department. And it's one of those things that can be customized. It allows for different thresholds to be established to provide for an early warning system. And it also recognizes successes and improvements for all our employees. And our next slide. This is something for our community. This is our community crime map, and anybody can log on to our department website and find a link, or there is a website that's listed at the top that you can search our community, and it will allow you to track the reported crime. It's pretty immediate in our community. And this is a big part, as far as I'm concerned, of 21st century policing, and offer It offers the transparency for our community to search the crime in their area and not rely on us to give it to them before they know it. So it is something that is, I think, to be considered more real time, and I hope people get comfortable using, because frankly, this is something that we use as a tool on a daily basis, and it helps us work closely with our community members to focus on certain crime elements. Next slide, please. Okay, body-worn cameras. We first did a study in 2015, and that pilot study was basically identifying the costs and operational hurdles and challenges with implementing body-worn cameras. I'm here to say I'm super happy with the fact that we found a way to move forward and start our body-worn camera program within the department. Next Tuesday at council, you will have a request for a purchase to initiate this program, and it's going to roll out over the next 3 to 6 months. But I think everybody knows the cameras provide greater accountability from a lot of people's perspective, and it improves our community relations. But it's not necessarily the panacea of societal problems. It's a helpful tool. The vast majority of agencies across the nation have them or are considering them. The cameras are something our officers are excited to get. They're looking forward to it. But they definitely, I think, need to be a part of supporting legitimate goals. There's going to be many things that are going to be vetted out over the next 3 to 6 months, specifically policy, training, community outreach and education. And a big piece is collaboration with our district attorney's office, knowing that a lot of our evidence is going to need to be transferred, or they're going to need to gain access. And I just want to say it's perfect timing, because the DA's office is working on some IT enhancements, and the timing of them are merging perfectly, that their improvements are going to mean that the information, I think the data that's going to be collected from these cameras has been the biggest fear, and what has been a concern or a pitfall for departments to take on. It's the data that's being stored and the cost of that. We moved to a cloud-based system that we manage ourselves, so the cost is not daunting, or we think it's manageable with what we have. But in addition, we're not going to need extra support to help get information to the DA's office. It's something that they can also get and tap into with our cloud-based information. So that's a long way of saying some of the struggles that we were looking at is the personnel hours based on the multitude of information and public records acts and things that we're going to have to disclose. It's something that we've come up with as a team and identified solutions to, and we think we can move forward quite confidently within our existing budget and with our existing personnel. And our next slide. Our recent tragic events across the nation highlighted police obligations and public expectations of us, of law enforcement. I felt it was necessary to invest a full-time manager to the issue. And basically, all that we've been trying to do needed to be emphasized and expedited. And this manager, many of you have met, it's Lieutenant Sean Hill, has been assigned, and he has overseen the implementation of many programs, initiatives, projects, and other things that we think define accountability for our community. We all have a role to play in public safety and accountability, but this position offers us the opportunity to focus on those issues that are most sensitive and important to the public. So we recognize we're going to need some internal support for any oversight process that's coming in the next couple of years. And this manager position is a conduit to that. He oversees our internal investigations on employees. He's definitely engaging the National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, which is NACOL, by being a part of their Training, Education, and Standards Committee and having the resources at hand that bring forward best practices. The Community Accountability Manager is going to be our Bodyworn Camera project manager from the operational standpoint, and the community outreach. And also academic partnerships are something that are embedded under the Community Accountability's purview, and complaint mediation, which you will see very shortly. Next slide, please. So I know a lot of people were waiting for these positions. We recently selected 2 community liaison officers. And for those of you that know our officers quite well, that's Adrian Gutierrez and Officer Heather Clark. The community liaison position takes the best of our old beat coordinator position while mostly focusing on today's policing practices, today's needs, I should say, with our practices. So the community liaison officers that we refer to as CLOs act as a conduit for all of our police officers to engage with the community in meaningful neighborhood partnerships. That means an expectation on them is to bring in our other officers and employees to be a part of those conversations. They're not going to be over-specialized and be the only ones that are doing this community engagement. They're going to be the quarterbacks, and they're bringing the support in to help engage our community and give them the level of service and I think the transparency that's needed and desired. They're going to maintain collaborative partnerships, problem solving, focus on developing public trust and transparency related to crime and disorder problems, as well as police operations. And one of the last things I will say they are going to be charged with is focusing on interacting with our youth and embracing some multidisciplinary community team approaches to producing public safety. And next slide, please. This is just to give you an idea. We know not all of our community reads information or gets updates the same way. Our social media engagement is vital, especially in COVID, to keep our community informed, and our followers keep increasing and keep making us recognize that this is such an important vessel of communication to continue to push forward. Next slide. So another component of 21st century policing is partnering with academics to develop those evidence-based practices. And our department has been engaged with researchers and implementing several evidence-based programs. This is just one example. And I don't know if you recognize him with the beard, but I'm super proud to say, this is what happens when you bring community into the police department. Howie's our volunteer and policing coordinator. He was one of our first volunteers in policing. And he has continued to contribute to research and expertise in our department with Lieutenant Sean Hill. He is a professor in communication, and he is engaged. He received this professorship from UCSB to continue researching policing and intergroup communication. And so what he is doing, partnered with our community accountability lieutenant, is going to be producing that evidence-based research that is going to help agencies around us. So it's something that, again, I want to reinforce. This is what happens when you bring community in, and it's not even going to produce the end result yet. It's in progress, but it is planting some seeds that are going to basically share a perspective that I think is going to help us overcome some of the intergroup barriers that exist from historical traumas within our community and others. And next slide, please. So we are involved with the YES Youth Empowerment Services Program. We're the first police agency to begin participating with this community diversion program. And we certainly appreciate the work that County Probation, UCSB, and CADA has committed in creating this program. We will be allowed, our officers, I should say, will have the opportunity to make direct community-based diversion referrals for youth on some lower level offenses, like possession of alcohol, possession of drug paraphernalia, and things like that. So the hope and the belief is the YES program is going to keep our youth from entering the juvenile justice system through diversion efforts, provided at the time of an arrest or a citation. And next slide. So a few months ago, we assigned and instituted, I should say, our co-response program. We have one officer assigned with Be Well, our behavioral wellness from the county, in partnership with a mobile crisis worker. That brings the team up to 3 in the South County, meaning there's 2 Santa Barbara Sheriff's teams paired with a mobile crisis worker like ours. We share resources when it's critical. And we have an example of that when we had a subject that was barricaded in a home with a weapon, and they rolled their team to assist us in our response. We would do the same for them for the South County, but we found already this partnership has been super successful in de-escalating, mitigating violence. They focus on people that are in crisis by taking certain radio calls, and also mitigate people, I should say not mitigate, follow up on cases where they know there's been a propensity for somebody to cycle through moments of crisis. So it's proactive in nature as well. So they are a big conduit to resources and treatment. Right now, the team's making between 3 to 5 contacts per day. And 80% of those in crisis are getting resources, meaning they're being driven or referred to a resource that is going to help them. So we used to have our officers stand by and wait for resources to help get somebody the assistance they need. This pushes us to a proactive format. We get immediate resources, and we don't have officers sitting there for 45 minutes and waiting and further traumatizing or creating stressors for the individual at hand. So next slide. We do still have our proactive restorative policing component. It exists of 1 officer. There has not been restorative court in session with COVID over the last year, but our restorative officer has been focused on being that conduit for reunifications. So we have seen great positive results this last year, an increase from 52 reunifications to 64. So it's been a vital role to the resources that we have and the collaboration we have in the entire city. And I added the HEAP grant collaboration as something to highlight. And I was talking to one of our officers that went out and worked with CityNet as a part of this HEAP grant collaboration. And that officer was expressing how things have shifted over the years. We're not the front end to helping our homeless population like we used to be. Not to say we're not. We are there with the proper resources. We used to get there and then try to find the resources. We are now mobile with the resources, and therefore things happen immediately. People get the help, and specifically with the HEAP grant, CityNet follows up with people. They work on long-term solutions or cases and get the housing, and then they roll out with our officers to try to find people because their housing is available. So it's a huge philosophical shift and something that's found to be super productive, not only for our individuals, but for our officers that have been really in a position trying to deal with social issues without the resources to do so. Okay, next slide. So this is something new we're working on, complaint mediation. We are in discussions with a local nonprofit that specializes in mediation. And we want to provide an option for dispute resolution when it's appropriate. And it's not a way to not investigate cases. It's a way to take some of those low-level complaints of behaviors, possibly rude behavior or language, and it's an opportunity for a reporting party and an officer, if both sides of it agree to it, to sit down and discuss it, which will allow for further understanding and an exchange of information, trust building, and I think it's just something different on a lower level that we can offer to have people, or I should say, create the environment where there is dialogue and understanding. And lastly, our police station project. As you all know, this is being led through our Public Works Department. And I have a brief update in regards to wanting to let you know that staff and the design team are in the process of scheduling a special workshop meeting in February with ABR to work through and collaborate on some of the conceptual design solutions. It's definitely an exciting time for the project, and they are focused on developing a design that works for the police department and the community in the best way possible. And, oh, I forgot to tell you to turn the slide. I did have a picture, a sketch. That was my last slide. And my last slide again is just, I am finished and open for questions. I know that was a lot of information.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, a full presentation. Thank you so much. Mr. Jordan, you want to start us off with questions? And then we'll go to public comment, and then we'll come back with, closing remarks. So Mr. Jordan, questions?
Happy to, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Hi, Chief.
Hi, Councilmember Jordan.
I know we promised, but it's like saying goodbye to a family member. So,
no goodbyes.
Okay, good. I'll go backwards first, just to make it easiest. The co-response teams, is that, one of my perceptions is there's a lot more response out there that either happens without one or should warrant one that isn't happening, and is just having more of those teams in the city specifically just a matter of us putting the dollars in place? Are there the Be Well part of it? Are those resources available if we can pony up another resource for a team or two?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Jordan. I don't want to speak for the county. There is evidence to suggest that these teams are definitely very effective. And if we had one for our city every single day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, it could only benefit our community. For us, it would be a matter of having the staffing to allocate. I think we're keeping statistics, and I'm hoping that we can support that this reduces other calls for service, and it may be just a reallocation of resources versus adding additional resources. But again, we need to speak with the community, the county, to move forward to see where they are as well. But I think they've been working. I was making sure I wasn't getting a text on it, but I know they are in support of doing what they can because they know it's effective as well.
I guess anecdotally, I just think that's one of the large areas of improvements in responses. It's the acting out, the people who are a little off kilter that come and go and disappear really quick. And so, thanks. Then the community, is it liaison officers, the CLOs?
Yes, sir.
Are those, I don't quite understand. Like, I understand the function, I just don't understand the nuts and bolts. Are they available for the community to directly reach out to, or are they working on the other way? They're just working from inside the police station out to the community.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Jordan, I will say they just started 2 weeks ago. They're going to be a resource for you, for the community. The idea being that they are going to develop partnerships. They're going to work on introducing beat officers to key people that are having ongoing issues. So they're embedded beneath our community accountability lieutenant. We are hoping to promote some new sergeants and allocate a sergeant to assist on directing and managing. So I would say, yes, they're going to be available to everybody. They are a resource to our city, and we're working through some of those structural issues right now.
Very cool. And then body cams, I'm excited to hear those are kind of moving forward. And I think you answered, I kind of have two questions. I think you answered one, and one was just on the actual nuts and bolts of the use policies, when they're on, when they're off, what the responsibilities are in that regard, and public access policies. That's what you alluded to would be the 6-month process to fleshing out, right?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Jordan, yes, there's some standard policies out there that have all of those issues addressed, and we want it to be something that, you know, we hear from our community on their concerns. So all of that will be vetted out during this journey.
And then the city's policy on use, whatever that becomes, is that subject to a collective bargaining agreement approval, or is that just our policy? And if you want to be a police officer here, this is the way you work?
So first, I do want to say that I had a discussion with our Police Officers Association, who is in support of these cameras. So I believe this is one of those operational directions that we can dictate if there are any sticky areas. Our use is going to be for performance, any contact with the community, and we typically factor in some sensitive areas to be ruled out for victims and other community members. But frankly, that's a point. We can't pick and choose when we're on camera. In fact, typically there are provisions that offer control, suggestions, and direction that it must be on with any community contact.
Super. Then I just have one last question, but it might be two. And it's really just regarding my perception of the public perception of the last year, and what I would phrase as response lags, or in some cases, a lack of response. And it really goes back to that priority system slide you had. And in many cases, I found, as you know, there's a gap between what's really happening and how it's explained on a call to the police by a member of the public. You know, whether somebody breaks in and is inside a room and somebody calls that in as a trespasser, rather than somebody's in the room and has broken into the room, as an example. Is there more we can do? I mean, I'm doing it as much as I can. I'm reading the Riot Act to people to say exactly what's happening out there. And I just feel that, I guess that's my question to you. Is there more that the department can do to get across the actual triggers that make, in your language, that make the priority rise to what the actual priority is on the ground, rather than see it bumped down to a 2 or even a 3 because somebody couldn't explain it well?
Councilmember Jordan, I think it all comes down to communication, and I will say we own part of that equation for, we have had a lot of people in training, so it's 2 ways. It's our dispatchers knowing what questions to ask and trying to be sensitive to maybe pulling that information out, and the other side of it. So yes, there's more we can do to educate both sides. If there's any indication that we are having challenges with that, it's a perfect project for our community liaison officers, you know, a simple educational campaign, if you will.
Okay, thanks. Then I just want to say, since I think it's Captain Arroyo and Captain Stoney, I have to fight really hard not to say hi, Mary Linda, and hi, Todd. But I've had just in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've just had a mess of this or that, and have found both of them to gone way out of their way to help me through the responses and the outreach and the direct outreach back to community members. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Jordan. Any other council members with questions at this point? I had some, but I wanted my council members to go first. Okay, so on the body cam, do most departments have them 50%? And I'm sorry if you said that in the presentation and I missed it.
Madam Mayor, I don't have the number. I know many have, many are considering going to them. Our county isn't fully outfitted with them, but it's mostly been cost prohibitive. There are some states are requiring all their law enforcement officers to get them, but there is a gap with the funding.
And I know that if the district attorney is not able to receive the data, then that's been part of the equation. So I'm glad to hear you say that they're doing some IT response in that area.
Madam Mayor, yes, they've had some plans, and everything's aligning perfectly that it's going to be an easy move forward for the discovery information that they need related to their cases.
Regarding the YES Youth Empowerment Services Program, so are you calling that a diversion program? So it happens that a young person is arrested or has some contact with the police. That's how that person is identified as needing the program?
Madam Mayor, yes, it's an opportunity, and we've had some levels of referrals with CADA in the past. This is one that's gonna, I think, make it more immediately available right on scene for our officers.
Okay, and I know the school district employs counselors who know the families where help might be needed, but if you have to be in trouble or arrested to be part of this, then that's kind of a different thing. So are you still having a challenge hiring dispatchers? I'm always curious about that.
Madam Mayor, we have 3 openings right now, and it's one of those very difficult jobs, and we respect and admire the job that they do. We have seen, I'm going to say a retention rate issue with some of our new hires. Some people it's not quite a fit. So 3 openings, we have several people in training right now. So yes. We're having a problem. I don't want to call it a problem. We have openings and we're actively recruiting dispatchers.
And is there anything else you can tell the community about the recent fatal shootings or and the work around coming to a conclusion or?
Madam Mayor, as you know, we protect the integrity of those investigations because it's vital to move them forward. But we have some of the very best detectives in our major crimes unit. They're all working as a team. They're working very diligently around the clock, collectively, and you know they're making progress. So with that, just know we do a great job being relentless, and we will continue to do so.
Thank you. Any other council members with questions? Otherwise, we'll go to public comment and ask Ms. Gorman to let people know this is the time to raise their hands and get in line if they have something to say. I don't see any other council members popping onto the screen, Chief and staff. Ms. Gorman, are there folks who want to make public comment?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have a couple hands raised in the past minute. We have Jeff Schaefer, then Sharon Byrne. If anyone else wishes to speak on this item, please raise your hand in the app, or you can send me a question in the app.
Thank you.
We'll start with Jeff Schaefer and then we'll go to Sharon Byrne. Mr. Schaefer, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Murillo, members of the City Council. Thanks for giving me the time to speak. I want to speak to you for my role with the city with SB Act and helping coordinate boots on the ground resources to our population experiencing homelessness. While I know there are many different opinions and experiences when it comes to law enforcement and men and women experiencing homelessness, I just want to say I'm appreciative of the report today and the ways the Santa Barbara Police Department has partnered with local service providers who are practicing client-based approaches. Working together to solve homelessness is a work in progress, but throughout 2020 and 2021, the Santa Barbara Police Department has been a truly collaborative partner, and I really appreciate it. I've had the opportunity to work directly with Lieutenant Kenneth Kushner, Officer McBride, Officer Craig Burley on a weekly basis. The police department has been in attendance on all of our weekly regional action plan calls and has been responsive to the needs of the community, neighborhood, and as mentioned, partnered with CityNet, Home for Good, Behavioral Wellness, and other partners when it comes to planning together to help people exit homelessness. This coordinated effort is extremely essential to our success, and I hope it will just continue. And I thank you for the philosophical shift that the chief mentioned as well, and I've really seen it on the streets. Of course, there's the long history of the Restored Policing Program, which has been highly successful year to year. And as the chief mentioned, all of the recent diversions and the increase. While there's still progress to be made and reforms as well, and I still work with various advocates who are seeking changes in areas throughout our government structure, I want to thank all the partners I've had the pleasure of working with day to day, who I know have a level of compassion for our friends without homes. So I just want to appreciate your report and thank you for all the collaboration and the work the chief has accomplished. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Schaefer. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Sharon Byrne, then Crystal Barros. Sharon Byrne, please go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members, and thank you very much for having the opportunity today to hear this extremely detailed report on the state of policing in Santa Barbara. I wanted to take a moment and maybe make you aware of some things that I've gotten to see on the front lines really in 2020 and early 2021. As a member of the Police Chiefs Advisory Board, we got a chance to review a policy that they looked to implement in 2019 of de-escalation, which is just key given the national dialogue we've been having on policing. And de-escalation is where, you know, the police attempt to dial a very tense situation down and get it to a calm ending. And we've seen examples where the police have done that in 2020 very successfully, which I think is tremendous progress. I've seen the co-response unit and I've seen how effective it's been. I also have had the opportunity to work with Officer Burley and had him visit the Montecito Country Mart to discuss issues they've been having on the property. And he gave really solid advice. Plus he showed up with a police swag bag. So that's some pretty good community relations work. And we agree that, my position is on the Behavioral Wellness Commission for the County of Santa Barbara. We totally support the co-response effort and totally feel that this is one of the best ways that we can get effective community policing and really provide the kind of help that's needed, where it's needed, when it's needed. I'm aware that the chief has also been looking at embedding county behavioral wellness workers within 911 dispatch, which is where crises calls come in. And the county's crisis unit is very well equipped to handle some of the worst mental health crises. So it makes sense to have this partnership. And I'm very tickled to see it coming to fruition. I'm thrilled at the community liaison positions. I cannot say enough good things about Officer Gutierrez. He is the community's beat cop's beat cop. I wish we could mint him in a factory somewhere. That position was traditionally frowned on within some of the ranks of SBPD. I love being that it is the way to go and it is recognized as the way to go. That, when you know your community and you're embedded in your community, it just makes it so much easier to get your arms around some of the deeply systemic problems that we have that end up in the police's laps, but really do not belong there. So I'm tickled to see this. Think this is really awesome progress. Really proud to see SBPD taking these actions on. Pretty much on their own with very limited assistance, help, or kudos from the community. So I want to be a community voice that offers you praise in that direction. And thank you so much for always being willing to step up and serve and for being willing to work with us on multiple problems. I also do a lot of homeless outreach along with Jeff Schaefer, and we've really needed SBPD at the Hot Springs encampments and other places. So just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do and how much you help the community on multiple fronts. Thank you.
Thank you. Another speaker?
Our next speaker is Crystal Barros. And I don't see any other raised hands or indications that people wish to speak on this item. Crystal Barros, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Crystal Barros, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
I know for sure she wants to speak on the mobile home item.
Ms. Barros, I see you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yes, I do, Mayor Murillo, but I also wanted to speak on this police report. Thank you very much, Officer Lernhoff, for this extensive report and a lot of good news. And I want to echo what Ms. Burns said about Officer Gutierrez. It's my understanding we might not see him over here in our neighborhood as much anymore because of his assignment, and we will miss him greatly if that's the case. The main reason I'm calling right now was because of what's going on the Lower East Side over here right now. And it was brought up, thank you, Mayor Murillo, for bringing up about the murders that went on here, literally approximately 100 yards away from my back door. And then 1 week later, there was a drug overdose of that was 2 teenagers here. And then right in the front of my mobile home park in the Sycamore Creek was a little teenager who overdosed on drugs. And constantly every day with our problems on the bridges of the Cacique and I'm drawing a blank, the bridges right here at Cacique Street and Soledad. And now with the new body cam going on, I'm wondering if we could get a camera on the Cacique Soledad bridges. If somehow this is the time number one, as a preventative and deterrent, but also there's so much crime that goes on there. Anytime I can walk across there, I can smell people smoking pot. I see the evidence of the drug and alcohol use mostly. And the gangbangers that are collecting there, it's just frightening to go outside my little mobile home park. So I wish we could get a stronger presence. And if it's just a camera on the bridge, that would be helpful and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gorman, did anyone else raise their hand for public comment on this item?
No, Madam Mayor, no further public comment on this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment and we'll go to our closing remarks or suggestions. And I really welcome Ms. Barros for speaking out and asking for, maybe more patrol in her area. I understand surveillance cameras are often vandalized, and so not sure if putting one up would actually be helpful. Chief, if you'd like to make a comment about that in particular, cameras around. But let's go ahead and address that. And then it looks like we'll just take Friedman, Harmon, Sneddon, A. Gutierrez as comments. Chief?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I just want to say fixed cameras offer a lot of obstacles and challenges these days in regards to not everybody wants them because they're concerned about the data and what's being stored. So it would definitely involve a very extensive community engagement piece with those factors to be considered. Technology is a great tool, but again, our city has to be ready for it. And it's something that is a force multiplier for sure. But I do want to reassure the caller that she hasn't lost Officer Gutierrez. He's going to remain, and those problems or issues she expressed are exactly some of the things that they can work on. And if that leads to camera placement, we don't have any fixed in our community as a tool for us, but if that's a direction that the community and we feel we want to go, it's going to be a process, and they will be engaged with it.
And it could be a process that includes neighborhood watch and some other strategies. So, okay. Mr. Friedman, your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank Captain Royal and Captain Stoney for helping put this presentation together and all the work you do, and all of our police department. In particular, though, I really wanted to thank the chief. It's been a pleasure to work with you over these past few years that I've been on council and get to know you, and to really have you help me understand some of these issues in a very nuanced way, as we've had these many challenges over the past few years. And I really appreciate the time you've taken to educate me on a lot of the issues, and also some of the ideas that are out there that we can really move forward to address them. In particular, the co-response with the county behavioral wellness. I know you and I had talked about that considerably in the opportunity there, and you were a strong advocate for that, and to see that it is working very effectively and part of the de-escalation, and it has very much improved outcomes for families and individuals. I really, really appreciate that, and that there might be an opportunity to expand that program. And then also the police station. When I've talked with you and in the community as well, that there is a story to be told there on, it's not just a new police station, it's a community center, and you've constantly said that. So when I look at it, there's opportunities there to not only enhance the services and the building for our police force, that outdated building, but as we go forward, to really look at how it could be more of a community resource going forward that could really help us with a lot of these issues that we're facing and build better relations. And so I really want to thank you for all that. And then also, I do want to thank all of our police, and I know Captain Royal and Captain Stoney, on just some of the smaller issues that make a big impact. And those are anything from traffic safety issues to Vision Zero. I know that we all in our districts get a lot of calls about dangerous intersections. And although resources are limited, you have been available, and there's been some projects that we've been able to implement in neighborhoods in the cities, in the city, that have really reduced traffic collisions, made safety improved in front of schools. And so I don't want us to forget that there are these daily things that we're continuing to do in spite of all these great challenges. But Chief, I'm gonna miss working with you, and it's been a real honor to learn from you, and I wish you the best in your next phase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Harmon, are you there? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I'm just going to echo Councilmember Friedman. You know, the last few months, we've had some really important but difficult conversations nationally, as well as here in the city. And I think something that I have not said enough is thank you. thank you to all the officers who clearly, as Chief Luno shared with us today, have really leaned in to try to bring progressive policing to our city, to really institute these cultural shifts. I know what a huge amount of work that is, and clearly your commitment to it is demonstrated, and it's so appreciated by me and by our whole community. So I really want to just say thank you. And I haven't said it enough, and I will make sure that I continue to do so moving forward. Specifically to Chief Luno, I don't really have the words to express how much I appreciate the work that you've done. It is incredible to see what you have brought to our department and the leadership and the values, really. It's clear to me that your heart is in 21st century policing in a way that I don't think we've ever seen in this city before. And it's incredible to have learned from you. As Councilmember Friedman says, I too have had quite the education in ways that our policing can be better and do better, and it comes from you. And so I want to acknowledge that and lift that up and just say how much I appreciate it. I also really value that the acknowledgement that there's more work to be done. That's how we move forward together as a community, with a shared understanding that we all want more and better for one another. And I'm really heartened to hear this today and extremely grateful. And Chief, you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thanks, Ms. Harmon. Ms. Sneddon?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me? I was having a little trouble earlier.
Can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. I really, I want to thank you. These have been really difficult and divisive and really, frankly, dangerous times for policing. And we need you. We appreciate you. Chief Luno, you really brought us these progressive policing policies, and you've been doing it for a long time. Before we had a very overtly public community outcry for this type of progressive policing, you brought it to us. I remember 3 years ago when you came and you gave this very same similar report, and we're talking about de-escalation practices, and it was almost before we heard about it in the community, we would hear it from you that this was something that you were already implementing. And I think when you first came to this department, there was a major shift in how policing was going to happen, and you led that shift. And really, congratulations to the whole department for embracing that shift. And we're just seeing, I think when we hear about different ways that policing could be different, so many of those things we're already doing, and you brought that to us. And it's not that you rest there, you keep striving to bring that forward. So I just want to thank you for that. I want to congratulate you on your retirement, which is really hard to believe because I think you have so much ahead of you. So congratulations on this for you, and thank you for your service. And thank you for setting the stage for the next steps as we're moving towards body-worn cameras and embracing civilian oversight. I really believe that this process is going to highlight how progressive we have been. And that's all a benefit for all of us. And you have, as a department, taken that on and with full embrace. And I think that, to your credit, that you know that it will highlight transparency and what's going well, and information is good, and we can all be stronger and better with that type of input from the community. Thank you for assigning, I just want to enumerate a few things. The community accountability manager, fantastic response, and community liaison officers, academic partnerships, the co-response officers, that was already in place. That's an area I'd like to see more growth in. I think this is exactly the kind of thing that nationwide is lacking, but we're bringing that, and we're going to see it grow, that type of co-response and partnership. The restorative officers, another area I'd like to see growth in the future. And just indications that you are listening to the community and inviting that input, and that we're all better for it. The collaborations with CityNet and SB Act and Home for Good, really changing the way that we are addressing homelessness, and not just the root causes, but also with compassion and heart and effectiveness. And that's been a hard shift, and you've done that. I want to just take a quick moment to acknowledge the mental health toll that this current climate with policing, but also with COVID, how much you're putting yourselves out there every time you answer even the most minor call. That's really changed in our community, the added levels of danger in that. You know, we're all experiencing, the whole community is experiencing mental health toll. And I just want to acknowledge that as you're protecting our community and looking out for us, that I'm really thankful for the At Ease program. I want to voice my support for anything that we can do to support you in your mental health needs. And just thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for your willingness to listen to the community and to listen to us. And it's just an invitation to the department as a whole to keep that conversation going with us as council members. I mean, we're in conversation with community, you're in conversation with community, we're all in conversation with each other, and please come to us with your needs as well, so we can really keep that balanced. And just really, really sincere and heartfelt thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gutierrez, are you there? Thank you.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much to Officer Arroyo and Stoney. I don't have the pleasure to meet you personally, but thank you so much for the support you've given the chief. And to the chief, I want to say thank you for being a woman in leadership, especially a woman in the role that you are. Thank you for the services, the years of services you gave to Santa Barbara. When you came in and you got sworn, you were the talk of the town because you were a female. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge that, because not only in your position, but in any position in leadership, it's really difficult for women to be respected. Thank you so much for sticking through the punches. It's been difficult, but you've led a good team. And it takes a really good leader to look at the strengths of your followers and your teams and know exactly where to put them. So thank you so much for allowing. I've worked really closely with Sean Hill and Aaron Baker. They've been key components to that community bridging, and they've done such a great job. So thank you so much, and best of luck in your new chapter and for everything you've done in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I first want to just address the comments made about video surveillance. I have mixed emotions about that because growing up as a millennial, I grew up with cameras all around me, and I don't necessarily have too many strong feelings about it, but I know that people are entitled to their privacy, and it is something that is something that's come up in my district quite a bit. There's quite a few residents that actually want video surveillance in their neighborhoods because of crime and also traffic situations. And I just want to say that if my colleagues or city staff or the PD want to have that conversation, I'm open to having that about the possibilities of having more surveillance. I noticed that on the corner of State and Ortega, there is a camera. I don't know if that's a part of Public Works or the PD, but it just made me wonder why there's a camera there. I don't know how many cameras there are on State Street, but it's just something I wanted to address since it was brought up during public comment. Other than that, I just want to thank you, Chief, for your service to our community and how welcoming you were to me when I was first elected and how you've been very responsive, and I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just echo everything else you've heard, but for me, one of the important things has been in our relationship is you're probably one of less than fingers on my hand of department heads or city executive team who has been the most human in a relationship that I've ever experienced. So you compound that by being a person who's wearing a vest and a gun, which makes it even more impressive, the level of humanness that you brought. And I just want to thank you that. There are others in your department who, in speaking about your department, who I have or have experienced that relationship with, but it has been such a pleasure to see that level of humanity as a person, any person, running a department that is a law enforcement department that I can't thank you enough. So wish you good luck. It's not goodbye.
Yes.
And I thank you for everything you've done. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Here, let me find my notes. I'm really glad that COVID hasn't greatly impacted your staff. I think in the beginning, we were worried about who would get it and how it would affect city operations, and we all have been very lucky. Thank you. I'm knocking on my wood here too. And I thank your captains who are in attendance today, all of your executive staff, and we look forward to making that new police station happen because our employees deserve a safe building and a space to do your jobs. The new chief, whoever that will be, will certainly build on the foundation that you've laid. I do hope that the volunteers in policing can return and be stronger than ever. Maybe they're out there and I just haven't seen them, but that was a great way to engage people who filled a very friendly role connecting the community to their police department. And I'm so glad that we've changed how we deal with our homeless residents, and looking forward to the new chief continuing that partnership in the community. I would like to see continued hiring of officers from Santa Barbara, from their own hometown. If the Explorers is the way to get there, or recruiting in the schools. I was impressed by the slide that Captain Arroyo prepared about how we generally do hire from the region. And those thoughts are, I guess, part of the effort now of hiring a new police chief. So I'm just letting Mr. Casey know my thoughts, and I do encourage the public to be thinking about what they want in a new chief, and there will be a thorough process going forward and collecting public commentary on that. But Chief, I'd like to thank you for your service to the city and to the broader region. You didn't just lead our department, you were part of many regional efforts and countywide efforts. So I appreciate that. And I remember when you arrived, our youth council and the West Side Community Group and some other community members put together a reception and a question and answer to welcome you. And then there had been so much pent up sense that they weren't getting enough of the police chief that they bombarded you with questions. Do you remember? And we finally had to intervene and say, okay, well, the chief needs to, we need to close up the event because people just wanted to talk with you and hear, what you had to say. And so we, our goal in putting together that reception was to create a culture of community policing and to reconnect the residents with our department. So thanks so much for launching your city service with that sense of community and openness. And under your leadership, our city has continued to be a safe place to live. Yes, we have our challenges and the recent incidents of violence, but I know you're working on that, and you must be commended for increasing the number of female officers on our force. And I understand that 18% women officers is remarkable when you compare it to departments all across the nation. And I remember, gosh, was it a 4th of July parade? It was one of the parades, and you were going by in the procession, and there was a girl, maybe she was 12 or 13, and she said, "That's the police chief." And this, you could see her face just brighten up, and it, you know, I'm really grateful. I know you're wonderful things besides being a woman, but it really means a lot to us women. So from the mayor's office, I thank you, Chief, for everything that you contributed to Santa Barbara. And I too wish you health and happiness in the next chapter of your life. So thanks. And sorry, we can't have a party, right? Pandemic prevents us from mariachi and food and dance, song and dance. I'm so sorry. Your baby pictures, we would really do it up, wouldn't we?
You don't want those. Madam Mayor, can I just say thank you and council. We have amazing officers.
We do.
Don't forget them. It's because of them and our community relationships that I'm happy to be able to move on and basically feel comfortable with the baton that I've been running around the track, and I'm ready to hand it off, knowing that it's an endless race. Policing is never going to be done. It's constantly evolving. We're an organism, if you will, that needs to be fed. But within that, we have some great employees, and they're here to serve. And that's above everything else. They have been here from the beginning. They will continue to be. So please know that they want to do well, and they will impress you from here on out. And they too don't want to lose any momentum that we have in some initiatives moving forward. So thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And Ms. Gutierrez, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Casey to come on. Go ahead, Ms. Gutierrez.
Chief, one last thing. I want to say thank you. In my district, before you came, the relationship with the PD wasn't the best, but you are leaving the PD and with a bridge into the community, especially in my district. I want to share with everybody that we have now an MOU with the school district and PAL again, which was gone for so many years. And I was blessed to be part of a briefing, a police briefing, right in my district. And there were people in the neighborhood that saw that. And there's just so much hope now. And at least the people in my neighborhood really appreciate all the good changes. They've been hammered for so many years. And when you came in and you're leaving us with so much hope for the future, for what Santa Barbara really is, it's all about community. And so all of your efforts to implement these programs before you're leaving says a lot about your character, because you could just easily said, I'm gone, and you didn't. So thank you so much on behalf of my district.
Thank you, Councilmember Gutierrez. I want to say one of my biggest measurements of influence has been on Milpa Street at Halloween. Every year, and I was so disappointed to not see it this last year, but every year there were more young children in police officer uniforms. And I had a moment where I said, there were a few little girls in police officer uniforms, the last one I went to. And that to me means that we're doing the right things and we're getting out in the community like we should.
Okay. Well, we hope you're not gone yet, right? You have.
I'm not going anyway.
So, Mr. Casey, if you could give us a breakdown about Mr. Malekian is coming on to be the interim. Just for the public, can you let us know the next steps?
Yes, first off, kudos to Chief Luno. She knows how much I admire her and love working with her, and wish her all the best. She's been an all-star 10 times over. And so I just wish you publicly all the best, Lori. You know, privately, I tell you that every day.
Do I get to say thank you for letting me be me and lead with my heart and trusting me?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And I'll miss her little private inside joke. Before every council meeting, you would see Lori would come up and whisper in my ear before council would start. And she goes, "Do I still have a job today, boss?" And I go, "Yes, Chief, you're still good."
I think I said, "Do you want to fire me now?" Because I gave you that from the beginning. Just please trust me, but if you need to cut me off, go ahead.
So thank you, Madam Mayor and Council, for the community an update on the police chief recruitment process. So we are very fortunate to have Chief Barney Malekian come over as acting police chief while we do the recruitment. Mr. Malekian has decades of service in the police service. He's been leading the progressive changes nationally. He served as police chief for the city of Pasadena. He retired to Santa Barbara and didn't want to retire, and so he worked for the sheriff's office in the county. So he's local, he knows Santa Barbara, extremely experienced. We're very fortunate to have him as the acting police chief, and we're very fortunate to have Captain Arroyo and Captain Stoney on board to provide that continuity as well. They are experienced pros, and I'm glad to hear that council has learned how to use them as resources, because they are great resources for all of us. So then I am working on the process for doing the police chief recruitment. It will be a thorough process, and as you mentioned, Madam Mayor, it will be a community process. It is important to have community input as to the qualities we're looking for in the next police chief. I'm right now thinking about how to do that in this COVID Zoom world, and so I will be developing those over the next couple of weeks. And so we will do that before we formally start the recruitment. I want to get that community input to help shape the job description and the brochure that we put out about the qualities we're looking for in the next chief. So more to come on that. It hasn't started yet. We're still in the early phases. Having Chief Malekian be able to provide us with that interim chief gives us the time to do a thorough outreach. I'll be at the Fire and Police Commission, giving them a status report as well. They'll play a critical role in that, as they did in Chief Luno's recruitment, and as they also do on the fire chief recruitment. So looking forward to it. I think the department is in a really good shape, and so I'm looking forward to a strong recruitment and getting a lot of good applicants from who knows where, internal, outside. We'll see. We'll let the process play itself out.
Mr. Casey, don't go away. Let's discuss agenda management, but I'll thank the captains for their presence today. Thanks for all your good work. So I think the next item would be the mobile home park issue, but we advertise that as starting at 2. So I think we're going to take a break this next 2 hours and then start with that item, and then go to the community workforce agreement item. And then the appeal number 15 is being rescheduled. And then we'll come back at 6 o'clock and do the interviews for the Community Formation Commission. Mr. Kalan, did you have something to say at this point?
Just to alert folks on the community workforce agreement that the presentation on mobile homes will be very brief.
Okay, we appreciate brevity these days, don't we? Even in these important subjects. Thank you, Kalan. Thank you, Mr. Casey. This meeting is in recess until 2 p.m. Thank you.